Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Launchpad educational series for the associates in the Southern California section.
I think I did it. Okay.
No, you're on there. You want to accept, Nikki, you'll want to accept the invitation I just sent you to show your screen.
Got it.
There we go. And then just from the beginning should take care of it.
Do this again.
Then,
okay.
Perfect. Welcome, everybody. We've got 6 in today's classroom.
Hi, everybody.
Hannah Ficini, Morgan Reemler, Dr. Cy Silverstein is with us again, and Tom Sun, administrator. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Launchpad educational series. Nikki Pritchard is our instructor today. She's going to be taking us through customer relations. Thank you, Nikki, for being here today. Thanks for committing to helping the associates in the SoCal section. How are you?
Absolutely. How is everybody? Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Well, it's all yours. You want to get underway, and I'll monitor the question box. For everybody that's in the class today, if you have a question that comes up or would like to make a statement, just use the question box on your control panel. And when I see it come through, I will interject and get that question out there so we could all hear it. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Nikki.
Yeah, of course. All right. Welcome, everyone, to customer relations. In my opinion, I think this is probably one of the easiest sections. I tread lightly when I say that. You know, it is very important, though. We are in the industry of hospitality, and as you all know, working in the golf industry, customer relations is extremely important. So we'll just dive right in. Next slide here. So first of all, I wanted to introduce myself. As John said, my name is Nikki Pritchard. I'm the director of golf at Arrowwood Golf Course in Oceanside. I just had my year anniversary as a PGA member, and I'm a former D1 collegiate golfer. I've been playing forever, since I was about 10. And I actually do the training in customer relations for all of my staff here at Arrowwood. We really pride ourselves on having good customer service here, something I'm super, super proud of. So as I dive in with this, you know, I'm going to be sharing some things that have actually happened here and ways that we handled it here at Arrowwood. So here's just the learning outcomes for customer relations in your portfolio. So you're going to understand the business value of customer relations, describe the components of the PGA customer relations model, define and identify moments of truth in the context of staffing, systems, and resources, utilize the 4 interaction strategies in a variety of routine and challenging customer situations, utilize the 7 interpersonal skills in a variety of routine and challenging customer situations, and initiate the PGA experience using a systematic engagement routine. So put that in simpler terms as we keep going. Your work experience activities, there's 2 of them for customer relations. One is the moments of truth at a facility, which we're going to talk about right now. So basically, a moment of truth occurs anytime a customer has the opportunity to evaluate a facility's products and services. So in other words, it's basically anything that the customer sees, any experience that they have at your facility. It starts from when they drive onto your property. For us, it starts to say, or down the street from our property, we have signs that say golf course. That's probably the first moment of truth at our facility, seeing the sign for the golf course, helping them get to the course, and then they see the welcome sign. And then it gets into, you know, when the guys in the cart barn take their bags help them get their bags out of their cart. So it goes all the way up until they're exiting the facility. So next slide here, there's 2 different types of moments of truth. There's interactive, which is when, obviously, when a customer interacts with an employee. So like I said, when a cart attendant helps the customer with their bag, when a customer walks in and is greeted by an employee, one big thing that I train my employees with is make sure that we greet the customer before they greet us. So we want to make sure that we see them coming in, we see them about to come in, and then we make the first effort to greet them before they have the opportunity to greet us. That is an interactive moment of truth. A non-interactive moment of truth occurs independently of employees. So like I said, with signage, it could be our website, anything that we are not physically interacting with the customer. Those things do make a difference. Okay, so there's 3 different elements of the moments of truth. There's staffing, systems, and resources. This you do need to know for your portfolio. There's also negative and positive moments of truth. So the first example that I have is the cart attendant was readily available to help a customer get a bag from their car. That means we had the proper staffing in order to do this, and it was a positive, it caused a positive outcome. Another example of that is, again, maybe in food and beverage, if we have a long line and someone's making the turn, making sure the staff tells them we'll bring their food out to them on the golf course. That's another positive staffing moment of truth. Systems, this happens here sometimes. I'm sure it happens with you guys too. A customer shows up, they're not on our T-sheet because somehow we got double booked. That's a systems moment of truth. The customer may be a little upset, but it also kind of goes into staffing too, making sure that we solve the problem. But that's a negative systems moment of truth. Resources, this is like the signage. It could be T markers. One issue that we run into here at Arrowwood is our T markers. Sometimes we have a gold T marker that's not super clear. We get some complaints on that. That's a resources moment of truth when someone is not able to clearly see the T marker. But the signage on the street, that is a positive resource moment of truth. Okay. So moving right along, this is the customer relations model here. I really like this model, and we're going to get into it a little bit more, but the 4 different strategies that you need to know for your work experience portfolio. There's directing, convincing, involving, and supporting. The goal of the directing interaction strategy is compliance, and with directing you have less customer control and more employee control, and I have examples of that coming up. Convincing, your desired outcome is agreement, and as you can see, as I go down the line with the interaction strategies, the employee control goes down and the customer control goes up. So for supporting and involving, there's more customer control and less employee control. That makes sense. You'll get a clearer picture of that with the examples coming up. I believe in the portfolio you have to come up with your own examples, so hopefully these help you kind of trigger some things that you experience at your club. Actually have another example of this that happened this weekend that is kind of funny that I'll get into, but for directing strategy, this is when we're telling the customer what they need to do. Obviously, you need to do that in a polite way to get their compliance. So an example is a golfer drives his cart into a restricted area and your GPS alerts you. You go out to the course and politely ask that the customer do not enter restricted areas in order for the course to stay in good condition. So in order for me to gain their compliance, I need to state my purpose clearly. That's an interpersonal skill, and also provide a compelling rationale by telling them, if you guys want our course to be in good shape, we need to make sure we follow these guidelines with the GPS. Please stay where you're supposed to stay. And then hopefully the final result is that the customer apologizes and obeys the restricted areas for the rest of the round. We actually had, and sometimes you do have to get a little more strict. We had this weekend a customer who got very intoxicated. I believe he brought his own alcohol to the course, and it was getting to be, more of a dangerous situation. So we had to stop serving him, and things escalated a little bit, and we definitely had to use a directing strategy there and say, you know what, we need to leave our facility in order to maintain the safety of all of our other customers and our employees. You can no longer drink and you need to go home. So there are situations where you do have to be a little more direct in order to get the desired outcome. So that's directing strategy. Convincing strategy, this is still more control of the employee, but we're getting to have a little bit more input from the customer. So the example here is you have a new student, those instructors out here, I'm sure you can relate to this. You have a new student who brings her husband along for her lesson. He is very involved and likes to give his inexperienced input, which confuses her. You pull him to the side and inform him that she may be better one-on-one for the lesson, but that you'll provide him with the things she needs to work on so he can help her practice after. That's a very nice way of putting it. I get sometimes juniors and their parents like to be very involved. And there is a way to go about it to where you can convince them that this is the best thing for the student. So you want to reach the desired outcome of agreement. So by telling them, and I think this is what would be best for them to succeed, so they don't get confused and they don't feel that added pressure. But listen, I'll tell you what they need to work on so you can help them when they're practicing. So by providing a compelling rationale while also showing understanding that they want to help, hopefully they will agree. So like the final result of the interaction, he agrees to practice on his own game during her lesson, but will use the knowledge you give him to help her practice between lessons. So that is the convincing strategy. Moving on to the next strategy is involving. So now it's more participation from the customer, and it's more of an equal employee and customer relationship during this strategy. So an example here, see a woman enters the golf shop and complains that we have a terrible selection of ladies' clothing and states that she will never buy from here again. Apologizing that we are not meeting her needs, you ask her what styles and colors she prefers to wear and let her know we will try to fit her desires more with our next order. So we are asking the employee or asking the customer what they want to see. You're, getting ideas from the customer to come to, participation and come to an agreement with that. So in this situation, I'm showing understanding. I'm getting her participation. She's saying that she likes brands at another course in Carlsbad that she usually buys her clothes from. She gives us the names of those brands so that we can shop around and hopefully get some brands and styles that she likes, and hopefully she'll purchase in the future. I find that a lot of times customers really appreciate when you ask them for their input. A lot of times we do use our customers' input, and it really does not go unnoticed by them. They do appreciate that. So the next strategy is the supporting strategy. So this is basically the customer has the most control. This is a lot of active listening on the employee's part. So the example is Mr. Baker comes in halfway through his round to tell the manager that he has never seen such terrible pace of play and that he wants his money back. The manager explains the staff did notify all players that there was a junior event that day, but that he is very sorry for his negative experience. He offers Mr. Baker a 9-hole rain check to return another time. So in these situations, you need to actively listen and make sure that there's a difference between just kind of listening and, asking questions to get the full answer from the customer. This goes a long way. We want commitment from that customer. We don't want them to leave and never come back again. We want them to come back. So you have to be apologetic with that. And also, the rain check does go a long way. It does give us hope that they will return another time. There's been situations where we have had junior tournaments, and we always try to notify our customers of the events, but sometimes maybe it slips through, or maybe it's worse than they expected, so we do have to, be apologetic, and hopefully they return another time. So by giving them a rain check, we are getting commitment from them. We're showing understanding, providing a compelling rationale. I added that in there because we did explain to them that there was a junior tournament, but we do understand that they are upset, and encouraging open expression. So again, the active listening. So the final result of the interaction, Mr. Baker is feeling a little better about the situation and booked the tea time for the following week. Staff assured him that there is no junior tournament that day. That's that, and that's pretty much it for customer relations. I know it was very short, but I was hoping you guys had some questions about this. So are there any questions or comments that you guys have? Quiet.
No questions yet. Oh, actually, here we go. We got one.
Okay.
Is there a way to save these slides and watch them later? Yes, of course. This is Morgan.
Okay, Morgan, as long as you come,
Morgan Reamer.
Copy my situation.
Yeah, we're going to be, we'll be recording, we are recording this presentation, and it will be uploaded to the SCPGA's YouTube page, and it'll also be on the landing page under the Launchpads on the scpga.com website. So you'll be able to access Nikki's entire presentation from the scpga.com, because we're going to put this on YouTube to answer your question. Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions? No?
No, ma'am. Not at this time.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, everybody, and hopefully this helps.
Okay, Tom, do you have any, actually, Tom's got his hand up. Oh, actually got another. Hold on. Now the questions are pouring in.
All right, bring it on.
All right. Can you highlight? Oh, wow, this is great. Nikki? Can you personally highlight your worst customer service experience and how you rectified it?
Sure. Yeah, this one, I have one that comes to mind right away. So this was actually when I first started at Arrowwood. There was a gentleman that came in, and there was an issue with his tea time. We couldn't find his name on the tea sheet, and there was a language barrier as well, which is something that I'm not sure customer relations, the portfolio or anything talks about, but that does happen quite often, is the language barrier. So basically, the gentleman, we ended up getting him out to the course after, their little hustle and bustle in the golf shop, and he actually accused me of stealing his phone, which I would never do, but he was like, you didn't like that, I didn't have a tea time, so you took my phone. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, me just starting out, I was like almost in tears that someone would accuse me of that, but I ended up going out onto the course and helping him look for his phone and his bag, and after he was still accusing me, I asked him to come into the golf shop. I was like, sir, I promise you I wouldn't take your phone. Let's look at the security footage and see where you may have left it. Are you sure you didn't leave it in your golf bag? And we ended up looking on the footage, and it showed him putting his phone into his pocket. So that was fun. But basically, with the language barrier, it is important to be very clear. And I think, facial expressions go a long way. You need to smile. You need to, I don't know, Tyra Banks calls it the smize. Make sure you're smiling with your eyes and showing understanding and listening with that as well. But yeah, that was one I'll probably never forget.
And how about some advice for play-by-play best practices on appropriate phone etiquette?
Ooh, good. So one of the biggest pieces of advice is make sure you're smiling when you're on the phone. I know they can't see you, but you can definitely tell when someone is smiling when they're speaking to you. Be very clear, and then listen. A lot of times it's easy on the phone to cut somebody off, but make sure you listen all the way to what the person has to say. We kind of have a script here at Arrowwood when we answer the phone. It's thank you for calling Arrowwood Golf Course. This is Nikki. How may I assist you? Make sure that you're offering your assistance before they ask for it.
And is there a recommendation on number of rings? And at what point do you put them on hold versus taking care of what it is that they are calling for?
Sure. So that one we get a lot here at Arrowwood. I wonder, was that Tom that asked that? No.
No, that wasn't me.
No, no, actually, it wasn't.
Okay, so we've been very, very busy lately, as I know all the other clubs have been, and the phone's been ringing off the hook, and we have lines of people out the door. We have a pretty cool system here where we have managers actually in the back who can answer the phone from the back, which helps out quite a bit. But there are times when we're on our own and we have a line of people and need to place people on hold. I like 2 rings. If it rings, I don't want to hear it ring more than 2 times. I will, if I'm helping a customer already, I will say, please excuse me, and I answer the phone and say, Arrowwood Golf Course, can you please hold? Place them on hold and finish helping the customer. I like to help the people in front of me first. I obviously won't forget about the person on hold. If it comes to it, I'll actually check in on them, and as I'm helping a couple people, if a minute passes, I'll be like, I'll answer the phone again and say, I'm so sorry to keep you waiting. It'll be just a minute, and then I'll continue helping who's in front of me. If I kind of keep my radar and see, you know, if someone just walks in, I'll say, please, I've got someone on hold, and then I'll talk to the person on the phone. But I do like to help those who are in front of me first. But, I don't want to leave someone on hold. Just continue checking in on them. You're looking forward to their call.
Now, my corporation, which is the company I work for, is American Golf, and we used to have a company that we contracted with that would mystery shop us through phone calls. And so we had a whole matrix that was set up on answering the phone in 3 rings or less. Did we ask how many players before we offered available tee times? Because they didn't want us offering tee times without knowing how many players they had. That way we didn't accidentally give a open tee time to a twosome instead of reserving it for a 4. And so on and so forth. Did we mention the specials that the club is running? And it was a whole scoring matrix.
Wow.
Can you talk a little bit about, did you create something like that for Arrowwood? And if so, what are the highlights of it?
We don't have anything like that. However, we are always, listening to what, it's a pretty small shop in here, and our management is very active behind the counter. We have managerial shifts behind the counter, so there's always a manager up front listening. during different specials that we have, we are always making sure that our employees are mentioning those specials. It all has to do with training, making sure that they're properly trained. If we happen to hear them make a mistake on the phone, it would be addressed. But I think they do a pretty good job. I think the biggest thing that they are so used to promoting is our frequent player pass. So if someone's asking about our rate, they know to mention our palm card, which is our discount golf pass. That's the one thing they are that we're checking for, is making sure if they are asking about rates, to mention the palm card, because it is a discounted rate, but it is a prepaid package. As far as the tee times go, that I like the idea of monitoring that. But again, with training, making sure that ahead of time they are trained not to sell a open slot of 4 to a twosome, I think is most important for us here at Arrowwood.
I unmuted Hannah and Dr. Sai. You two are unmuted if you want to take off the self-muting. I'd like to ask you, Hannah, if you have any horror stories or any best practices on some home runs or examples that we could benefit from. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, so it's a little interesting on my end, because I actually work for the section, so I don't work one-on-one with people every day. But I do go out and run junior tour events. So there's a lot of questions that come up from parents or other players regarding a ruling situation, or maybe, cheating accusations, things like that you have to deal with on the spot. So those are pretty interesting, and trying to be supportive of what they're saying and trying to get the details. In regards to being in the office at the section, we get a lot of phone calls. So it's learning how to kind of direct people by words instead of showing them physically as to what to do, and kind of listen to them and their either their complaints or their opinions based on that. So those are my experiences, kind of in a nutshell.
Did we already pay it in the mail? It wouldn't be on his thing. Sorry about that. And Dr. Sai? Dr. Sai, are you, can you come off of mute there? There he is. You have some advice on customer service, Dr. Silverstein, for the group? Doc? He's unmuted, but he may not have called in. Have you called in on the audio line, Dr. Sai? Okay, well, he's unmuted. Let's give him a chance to connect on that. Tom, how are you today?
Good, John. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you loud and clear.
Okay. Thanks, John, and to Nikki, our director of golf at Arrowwood. She's does great things for us, and I think the presentation was well articulated. Just wanted to let her. Well, thanks everyone again for joining the call today. It's our 4th week. We had a week off last week. We're halfway through the first phase of the Launchpad for level 1. We've had 4 different sections that were instructed. We have 4 more weeks left. On the 9th of November, next Monday, you have Joe Fritz on Rules of Golf. 16th of November, Jeffrey Brothers Business Planning, which is probably the most in most people's interest because of the complications of it, the details of it. And 23rd of November will be Michael Gainey on player development. And the last week will be November 30th with Kyle Mendoza instructing on coaching, which is another two sections that were most about when we first took the survey, beginning of this program. So halfway done. I think we made some progress. Obviously, we need some make some improvements for the next phase to be decided. But I think so far so good. We have 4 more launch pads, 4 more Mondays upcoming, and hopefully we look forward to not only the instructors preparing for the presentation, but also for the associates to join us and ask a lot of questions and hopefully learn and assist them in their completion of level 1. That's it for me, John.
Okay, fantastic. If that's it from everybody else, I think we can conclude.
I have one last thing, one last piece of advice that I forgot to mention earlier is kindness. You hear the phrase "killing people with kindness." I think that is also very important. It's worked well for me here. You know, if you have someone who's really heated, a lot of times people don't think when they're heated and they come in guns blazing. You know, just hear them out and be very kind to them. Most of the time when people are disrespectful towards the employees in the golf shop, you know, obviously up to a certain point, you know, you can't take it, you can't take the heat for too long, but, you know, usually if I'm kind to them, they end up coming back and apologizing, and realizing that they were a little harsh. So just remember to be kind to everyone, I guess.
One last thing for me is if you could, the associates in the call, pass the word to your friends on the Monday Launchpad at 4 o'clock every Monday for the next 4 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day, Nikki. Thank you very much. And we will, Nikki will copy the section headquarters for your MSR points for this. You get 4. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.